welcome to day 2 of VCT EMEA Kickoff. Today in the Riot Games Arena, 4 more teams will be taking the stage, including the very much anticipated debut of Flores, and I can't believe we got her, and she will be on stage a little bit later. I'm your host, Yingsu. I'm joined by Kakuka and Billy, who are both equally excited about Flo, I assume.
Yes, yes. I feel like following her journey since the very beginning, to see us here, to actually be the region, having Flora this time around, I'm very happy. What about you, Billy?
I have to agree. You can't not be excited about Flora. Her debut here in Tier 1 in EMEA, I'm so hyped to see that.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, and I think my favorite thing is hearing some of the players backstage talking about, yeah, she's going to farm. Yeah, we're equally excited about it as well. So that game will be coming up a little bit later. Let's take a look at the bracket first, because we already saw some teams take the stage yesterday. And Billy, what was your, I guess, takeaway? Anybody impressed you in particular?
Honestly, I couldn't really tell with that Carmine Core game. I was like, what are they going to pull out against Navi here? I'm really looking forward to that Sadak and Les head-to-head that we're going to get to see in that French derby. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting day, very long first day as well for all of us here on the desk.
Surprises also from the side of BBL. I think that the debut of the two new Turkish players was impeccable.
Yeah, it was indeed. The teams that did win yesterday will be playing again tomorrow, but today we're going to start things off with Liquid versus Koi, followed by, of course, Apex versus Gentlemate. The way that the bracket is so interesting as well, because as you guys know, that Apex versus Gentlemate's game, Kakuka, could potentially shape both of their teams' future next year.
Yeah, exactly, because both of the teams are the ones that have ascended throughout the years and also will be in risk of descending this year, depending on their performance and, of course, what happens with the rest of the teams in the region.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, they're up for relegation unless, of course, they make champs and get those champs points. So, yeah, no, it's really exciting that we get to see them go head-to-head in the very first stage of the bracket.
Yeah, and I think Gentlemates are looking very exciting too, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. First, like I said, we did see 4 teams play already yesterday. It was a very long day, and I think there was a lot to take away from those games, and what better than for us to give our predictions and appropriately react to some of the things we
never
saw
done
yesterday. Yeah, definitely feel free to clip this, screenshot it, meme us sometime down the line. And I'm going to put myself right in the firing line by going first. Now, after what I saw yesterday, I firmly believe that the duo of N and Sadak will be the first EMEA coach IGL to bring home not 1, we've done that before, not 2, we've done that before as well, but 3 global trophies. It's coming home, baby. KC on that stage in Paris. It's written in the stars.
I mean, I would say that a normal reaction would be, I've seen them, I'm impressed, I can see what the work can do, I can see us taking Paris, of course, for the team, there's that extra motivation there, but that's definitely an overreaction.
KC fans, back me up, back me up, back me up.
You're on brand, you're on brand.
Yeah, back me up. All right, let's see yours then.
Okay, you guys tell me if this is an overreaction as well, but also based on what I saw yesterday, my overreaction, or just reaction, is going to be that Yampi will be the first player to lead BBL to a global event.
I thought you said leave.
No, to leave. Sorry, my English sometimes is a bit wacky. But yeah, I think that the BBL that we saw yesterday shows a lot of promise. This is without the full roster. I'm very excited to see what Chiwa is going to do when he gets here. But knowing that BBL has never won an opening game in any of the seasons that we've had, what they did yesterday, I think it was impressive. Yes, they could have closed it in a 2-0 fashion. But, you know, it's a learning experience as well. And I think that this BBL is one that people should be hopeful for.
Do you think that I would think that's an overreaction?
No. Really?
Yeah.
Am I overreacting?
No, not according to me.
After yesterday, I don't think that we can overreact. I think yesterday we were all a little bit surprised by that result. So, no, I think that's a fair reaction. My overreaction, again, don't really know if it's an overreaction from us, but I think that Vice is going to be the most picked Sentinel throughout Kickoff. And my reason for that is that we didn't see Vice on Haven. That was the only map that we didn't see Vice on. And I'm wondering if it's an overreaction from the teams to pick into Vice because of the introduction of Teo. Obviously, her utility, it's indestructible. So I'm wondering, have the teams thought, okay, let's run this, or have they actually just been cooking with the Vice in the off-season?
I like that. I like that.
I don't think that's overreacting. You know,
I think you're very reasonable.
Yeah. I think you're very within reason. I think that definitely Vice is one of the subjects that every single team, whether you play her or not, should have catch up during the off-season.
I want to see more deadlock though.
I want to see Morteco.
Yeah.
We only got one, and he was Angel with whatever that composition was that I had nightmares with last night.
And is he or is he not the best Tejo player in the world? Name me one other pro player that's had a better performance than Angel.
Can we go back to this question like 3 hours from now?
Okay, I mean, okay.
3 hours starting now.
Yes.
We'll revisit this. We will revisit this. But there is a lot of history between our teams and players here in EMEA. Let's check in with Soulcas and Nat and see what they've been up to in the offseason. It's a new year and we have some new teams here, but who doesn't love a little reunion? I'm now joined by Naz from Team Liquid and Soulcas from Movistar KOI. God, that feels weird for me to say that out loud. But when was the last time you guys saw each other? Had a little catch up?
Liquid? Yeah, it was whenever it was last in Liquid. It was probably the last time we saw each other.
Oh, so before you went off to Apex?
Yeah, I think that was the last time, yeah.
Wow, and speaking of that, Nas, did you watch Ascension at all? Did you manage to catch any of the action from Apex?
Yeah, I was watching his highlights only, to be fair.
Yeah?
He was chilling, he's lying. He was chilling on vacation.
Were you at least rooting for Dom a little bit to make
No,
it
I was
back?
actually watching the highlights. I wasn't watching the games, but I saw the highlights.
Okay, good.
I remember the Lotus one.
Lotus one? Yeah.
Lotus
That was
one
the
was
last one.
There was quite a few highlights, I feel like, from you at Ascension.
Ah.
Yeah, and what's it like to be
Oh,
back,
wow.
I guess, you know, back in this arena, back in the studio, and having to go up against him?
Yeah, it feels nice. It's weird to be back, but I'm glad to be back. You know, when playing in Tier 2, it was a bit like how to say, like more relaxed. There wasn't as many like go to travel here, boot camp here, go to this tournament, but and then sitting out and missing out on all people going to these Masters events and stuff. It's nice to be back. So.
You'll get yours. You'll get yours again. And of course, we were actually having a little chat before we started talking about in this interview about some of the glory days that you two shared. Of course, you won a very important trophy in EMEA. I know, Nat, you feel like maybe the best trophy we've had in EMEA?
I don't remember the other ones, to be fair. But
It's the only one that matters.
this one, incredible. Every time I watch it, so happy. Can't watch one day also.
Yeah, we need to go together. The watch party.
Yeah, there
All
you
of
go.
their highlights.
We got some footage right
Oh,
here.
that's the last round on the fracture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was me and you, right?
Yeah, it was incredible
Nice.
clutch situation. Communication there.
We're gonna have that teamwork again in this game today.
Yeah,
Me and you opposite each other. We're just gonna.
1v1, we communicate.
Yeah.
I want to see, maybe you stand up and give a little wave, talk to each other from across the stage, perhaps.
Yeah. 1v1, we wave first, and after that we play.
Just wait, handshake, and then we sit down and play.
Yeah.
Gentleman's
Sounds good.
agreement.
Exactly.
Gentleman's
Yeah.
agreement. Now, I wanted a bit of a big question I wanted to ask you. What's changed since then, I guess? What do you think has been the biggest difference in your life, in your career since winning that trophy? I'll start with
Well,
you.
I have an answer.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I'm married and I'm IGL now. Now
Oh,
you.
I'm not married and I'm not IGL, so
Okay, I don't know which. I think I'd take the married. What's I guess, makes you happier, being married or being an IGL now?
Both actually.
Yeah, both?
I like the challenges. I mean, marriage is not a challenge though, but IGLing is the challenge in some kind of directions. But it's good.
And
I'm happy.
Yeah, in terms of that IGLing, you think you might have an edge having played with Nats before, being in the same team environment, to maybe be able to kind of counter mind game him in the server?
played a few ranked games with him. I can try and remember some calls, but nah. I think it's gonna be exciting to play, and especially him now in the IGL and stuff. It's kind of like a thing you probably didn't expect like a long time ago, and it's like I think even in the Liquid rosters, like over the years, we've had loads of pseudo in terms of Yampi was trying IGL, and now he's actually in IGL, and Nats was quite a big second caller, so now he's IGL as well. So I think it fits well.
All right, I can't wait to see you on the server, and make sure you guys look out for the BM and the handshake, the high fives, all that jazz. I can't wait to see it.
There we go.
We will be seeing that in just a moment. Any married IGLs here on the desk?
No, sadly, I'm still single. So no.
Oh, okay. Chat's going to be going wild now, I can just tell. But let's talk about this Team Liquid, because last year was the first time ever in Team Liquid that they've never made a global event for the entire year. And Kakuka, as a result of that, you can sort of tell why they decided to rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, we also see the rebuild in the players, also in the coaching coaching staff. We have heard that there is a golden rule of how many Polish players you're supposed to have in a roster. Team Liquid did not care. Kamik, Camo, and Patetek. I know that last year everybody was going nuts about him, but Nats is also on the team. And Kiko also, we need to start theorizing about how those roles are going to look within the team.
Yeah, Keiko's a good one, obviously. Same from last year. They kind of built around the Apex roster that they picked up from last year. So yeah, Kiko, another good one with those additions coming into the team. I'm intrigued to see what is he actually moving on to. We knew him as the kind of young gun duelist previously, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that is this year.
And Paddy's on a team as a starting member, not a stand-in. You know, he is on a team. And Billy, there's a reason why everybody's excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Patetek, super stub of Team Heretics last year, right? I feel as though his flexibility, the way that he was just able to jump into whatever composition that Heretics would throw at him last year, yeah, I'm really excited to see him actually have a permanent home this time.
And everybody had questions last year when Patetek was, brought into Heretics, because it's not like a new player, someone coming in from Tier 2 that nobody knows about. And he had this redemption arc, and everybody started to love it because of what Billy was saying, the filling in all the slots. For for 2 of the international events, he just went with them, played with them, and was one more of the team. And there was one request that everybody was putting out there, and is give this man a team.
Yeah, get him on a team and also give him another opportunity to actually win a trophy. I feel like he took that really hard, right? You can see from this tweet. He was very, oh my, I want to cry just looking at this. But he will have that opportunity, and he'll maybe do it on Liquid or for Liquid. But do we think they can? Is this roster and the changes they made in the offseason good enough?
I think that there's still questions. I do have trust in the coaching staff. I think that Lohan is going to be able to bring a lot of things from his previous experience in Tier 2. I honestly think that, and we saw it yesterday, most of the talent that we're bringing in from the international leagues are showing to be very good, big promises.
Yeah, and speaking of talent and roster change, of course, Movistar KOI, they made their changes as well. And I guess, again, their year last year wasn't exactly the best. This, though, Billy, do you see as an improvement?
Yeah, Movistar KOI, this is going to sound weird, but everything about this roster feels new and fresh. I know it's ironic, given that we have an ex-Gambit and an ex-Team Liquid player on this roster, but yeah, I like it. I'm interested to see how they all kind of mold together. And American IGL coming into an EMEA team again was another discussion point that I kind of raised yesterday, so it will be interesting to see how that actually merges with the rest of these guys.
I'm a little bit biased, I've been living the off-season with Sergio Ferra.
French? Like, why?
Yeah, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? That's the only thing. But no, seriously, about this team, I think that it's good to mention that we have the import of Flyer that is going to be leading the team, as we were just seeing on the screen. Philo, who is pointed at us, he's been for a long time playing in Tier 2. This is her shot, and everybody else returning players. And also the last 2 pieces that you're seeing there, Gorilla and Laika, those 2 were in Vitality last year, and those were the ones that took Vitality to champs. Do not forget.
Yeah, and the question is, you have to kind of think about why a player like Soulcas would win Ascension with the team that he did and decide to go to a different project. And I think you hit the nail on the head, because that coaching staff is S tier. That is the coaching staff that I feel like can make a project like this work.
Yeah, exactly. And for a player like Soulcas, with his background, he is the first player, full stop, to go back to Tier 2, to compete in Tier 1, be in Tier 2, win Ascension, and earn his step back. And doing it in this roster, as you're saying, I think it shows a lot of promise. There's a lot of experience there and a lot of potential that I think this is one of the teams, because of how new it is and the pieces that it has, that I think could be a surprise on Kickoff.
Yeah, I agree. I think Soulcas has kind of earned that spot coming back into Tier 1. Just to echo everything that you had said, he had to fight his way through Tier 2, given it was dominant, right? Apex kind of swept challengers last year. So, yeah.
So did the previous year, and they didn't win the most important match of the year.
Exactly, yeah. So, no, I'm excited to see him on this roster.
Yeah, and if that doesn't get you guys excited, all I want to say is that in the off-season, Shados was playing Reyna again, and he was farming. So I don't think he's going to do that here, but just in case. But just how strong are the new Team Liquid and KOI rosters? It's time to find out. Let's send this down to the stage and bring out our teams and kick off day 2 of VCT EMEA.
With me.
Both of these teams missed out on every single global event last year, but it's time to turn over a new leaf and see if they can make an impact domestically and internationally. This is actually the first game they both had last year as well. They played against each other then. Liquid did come out on top, but as we talked about, there are changes. There are different rosters coming into this now. So it'll be interesting to see if the results will change, and also to see if we're finally going to get Fracture, maybe.
I mean, no, we're not going to see Lotus, something that we saw yesterday a couple of times, and the first Fracture of the year here in EMEA is going to be picked by Team Liquid. Abyss is going to be the pick by Movistar Koi. We can already anticipate maybe some takes that you want to give about some agents?
Yeah, I'm going to say that Liquid are my favorite team in the entire world. Nothing to do with them picking Fracture. But I
thought it was because of banning Lotus, because we had a lot yesterday.
I do like Lotus, but that Fracture pick goated. I do wonder, though, when we talk about the roles, the new agents, and so on and so forth, on a map like Fracture, the players they have on Liquid have always been very set in their roles. You know, Kiko just played the Duelist. Nats on that Cypher is, at this point, legendary in our scene. So, Billy, what are they going to deviate to? Because surely Kiko's not going to play Duelist here, right? Maybe even Nats won't play the Cypher.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting Camo to jump into that duelist role. Like, I kind of thought that anyway coming into this one. It's just, do they decide to actually have Camo and Kiko on a double duelist in Fracture? Don't know. Probably not something that we're going to see. And then the Nats point as well. Yeah, what Sentinel does he play? Does he jump onto a Vice? Does he stick with the bread and butter of Cypher that he knows and loves very much so? So, yeah. It's all question marks at the moment because this is obviously their first game of the season.
I will say, I don't expect a lot of double duelists. Yesterday we got some double controller, a lot of double sentinel. I think that with how popular Vice is, it would be kind of a disgrace not having Nats on sentinel.
Well, it looks like Nats will be playing the Cypher because it is Nats. They're going to have no duelist, by the way. Talk about double duelist, zero duelist, but Teho on Shados. Kakuka, you called this yesterday.
And this is the kind of Shados that we are expecting to see in 2025. Back to that initiator role. Soulcas, who was, by the way, when he was on Team Liquid, legendary on this Fracture, super flexible, playing on the Astra, if I'm not completely going crazy, but is now going to be playing on the Vice. Double Sentinel for them, and Philo having his debut on the Yoru.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Soulcas kind of toying around with probably one of the standout deadlocks for me, Ascension, and little did we know that we were actually going to see Soulcas and Nats go head-to-head in this matchup. And I know I just said that Teo and Vice are counters to each other, but they're actually deciding to play both of them.
Yeah, and more interestingly, both IGLs will be playing Sentinel. Maybe this is a new meta we don't know about, but let's throw this over to your casters and jump straight in with Mitchman and Tombiz.
Thank you so much, Yinsu. VCT EMEA Day 2 about to kick off, Tom. And a fresh look at both of these teams. Excited to see what they bring to the table. The comps starting this one out, though, got me a little bit surprised, to say the least.
Yeah, so one team has entered into 2025, and the other team, well, they're back in old Angel comps. So there's zero duelists. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I was kind of excited to see, oh yeah, Camo coming in. Maybe we'll play a Jet. Maybe we'll play something super aggressive. And he's playing Gecko. Now, we have seen players do that. Something, for example, has been one to do that in the past. It can work, but I don't know. It's just two very different looks at this map, which definitely makes it exciting. But with so many changes within these rosters, we've spoken about leadership, we've spoken about imports. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. And that makes it a bit more interesting.
Well, kicking off the season as an IGL, all eyes on Nats, seeing how he adapts to that. Often going to be playing away from the pack, and that's one of the challenges that a lot of IGLs look to combat by shifting up, by playing roles that allow them to stick with their team. But Nats is known for his lurking. Something's got to give. We'll see how that adaptation is brought to the server as time goes on. A minute 20 on the clock. And Team Liquid on the attack side. They've left the Spike north side with 4 players shifting to B. And it looks like we've got a nice slow burn of a round as each team looks for presence on opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, it looks like Flyer's going to meet the EMEA players for the first time as he is solo currently on B. Just playing almost contact. I don't think he's going to look to try and challenge in front of this. Maybe just spam a few shots through and hope to find a kill. Instead, he is met by Camo immediately in the dirt. And that puts the B site firmly in the control of the attackers.
Yeah, that's it. A player down and a spike plant to be acquired. Cam spotting the flank coming up as well. Looks like Nats wants to get ahead of this problem with 3 players coming around. It's a big swing straight into heavy traffic, and he is left flattened. 4 versus 4. Looks like Movistar Koi may have a chance. It's going to take a while. That utility to come into play. Guided Salvo clearing some of the back boxes. Camo's still safe, tucked in the corner. They haven't managed to root any of these players out of position, and the first one is a 1-to-1 trade, running that clock down ever further as Kiko comes up behind for the double. That puts this round to bed.
Yeah, solid start from Liquid. I don't mind the idea from Movistar Koi just sort of setting themselves up for a retake, but Camo finding such an easy opener definitely made things a lot better for that Liquid side. And I think as well just the fact that they had lurk on lurk. Like, okay, Nats didn't really get too much. I think they got a bit further than expected, but just having that wraparound from Kiko. And that's something else you have to talk about with him as an individual. Like, he's used to being the first man in. Now, playing the controller on a map like this, you normally have the expectation of maybe him playing a bit more of a lurk, maybe him being in the backlines a bit more. Although, when you have that, probably not.
Well, I think that's also what you're talking about when you say bringing in an Angel idea. All that rings in my head, that Brimstone, drop your util and just go blitzing in. Something we know Kiko's going to be capable of doing. Possibly even better than Angel was. Who knows? Remains to be seen. For now, Guided Salvo cleared some close corners and not too much of a worry for Movistar Koi as they've seen nobody outside of A. But in a round like this, you really want to be running into those players with the pack. As we can see, it will be the pack having to run into those players. Team Liquid have already taken control of the empty space on the B site, and it's only Flya who has managed to fly under the radar for now.
Sat up in tower, but with Wingman being the one to plant, the risk really wasn't there for Liquid. Through goes Camo, but quite a few missed shots. In fact, a couple of players already dropped. This was a really small investment. If anything, it was only utility purchased into this round for Movistar Koi. Vilu and Shados. Kamik is going to go down, and it's left all onto Panitek, the superstar sub in his previous team, but he'll only get one this time. What a response from Movistar Koi. They're going to find themselves around to equalize. And honestly, Mitch, I think they spent, at least on weaponry, nothing. It was just utility.
I think, yeah, you're right. All classics that they came in with. Unbelievable display from this squad. And what, a pay safe card, Thrifty, as a result, in a round that they invest next to nothing. And it starts out about as poorly as it could. They 4-man pushed up A main, hoping to catch 1 or 2 players, maybe to find Nats lurking on his own, and they didn't, ending up having to blitz back into a site against a team that has utility, that had everything for them, the Sage wall down, to slow them, the smokes, and even ideas to flash out of a smoke and take these aggressive stances. But ultimately, Movistar Koi hit the shots. Huge early benefit for this squad now as they are 1-to-1 with the economy bolstered on their side.
Yeah, that was my sort of question when it comes to Movistar Koi, is where is the firepower coming from? Because you've got Soulcas coming back from the tier 2. Filu, I definitely have some questions about. And now Shados moving back to the role, which he sort of made his name under. Maybe that gives me the answers, but it's definitely early days just yet. Again, we're seeing the B site regularly pressured, and that's not the start they were looking for. One of the hero rifles alongside the Outlaw, managing to get that opener, but the trade's coming back thick and fast. That's now last man standing, but you never doubt this man in a clutch.
Team Liquid putting quite a lot into this, even having used Camo's ult. It's not going to get them anything in terms of round wins, and economy damage can be overlooked, I think. For Movistar Koi, starting out 1-0, and now the lead is in their hands. This is going to put pressure on the side of Team Liquid. They can't let this one slip with some early mistakes like that. But luckily for them, they're back on the board with rifles. I think the one thing that will put a sour taste in their mouth is that they didn't really get any value out of that ultimate.
Yeah. It's also left some of their investments here a little bit lower, like the Outlaw purchase for Nats puts them on a Guardian for this round, light shields as well. Yeah. I don't know how much of a part that will play in the round with what's on the other side. An immediate control being fought for. This is sort of the expectation with the Guided Salvo, the missiles. Obviously they have a pretty quick, well, for what they do, regeneration time. They'll be back in what, like 45 seconds. That control's not held on to for long though. An immediate trade for Kamik, leaving them in a 4 versus 4 scenario, but Gonna say.
Yeah, breaking this is going to give them an angle.
But
You will not kill my ally.
well, never mind. I mean, it's not going to matter too much. It's just a little bit frustrating for Camo. His KD is going down the toilet from early fights, but if they're going to win the round, they're going to win the round.
Yeah, you could look at it as a wasted ult, but it did still trade out the position of that player, and, well, I think that's worthwhile. If the ability did that as default. Flya 1v4 as a result. Not an easy scenario to make work. Question of damage perhaps comes into play. Nice shot onto Nats. Still winnable if Team Liquid give him the opportunities, but you have to think that won't happen. And with the off picked up, a heavy piece of machinery, he wants to save it. He won't get the chance. Patatek waiting up top.
Okay.
The scoreline equalized with a little bit of attitude as well.
You know what? I think you're always going to get that with Patatek, but I'm very happy to see him in the jersey with Liquid, someone who I think...
on a starting roster,
yeah,
it's just nice.
Like he probably takes the biscuit. There's one or two people you can argue for the greatest stand-in of all time. He has definitely been in the conversation and maybe the one that takes it overall, but it really is great to see him, starting with the team, practicing with the team, knowing that he has time to sort of build with this roster because he was so good last year. And that's the thing, the Liquid roster this year is very exciting. Like, I think they've got a lot of players that we've seen in solid teams before, players that we're excited to see going forward as well. So it's just whether or not they can live up to the expectations. That's always the problem with Team Liquid, is can they live up to the hype that is built?
That was a rocky start, but seems like that attacking side stabilized. A couple of ultis that they're up against here that could cause problems. As this attacking side makes some presence on A, but shifts their way over to the much heavier stacked site. A lot of utility waiting for them on the way out of B. The Arc Rose primed to blind them. We'll see what their approach is going to look like. Still wanting a little bit more control. They'll move towards Arcade. They've given up a ton of control across the map, but you take a look at the trip in the very north side of the map, the camera down south, they've still got a decent amount of information on the back of Nats if there is a push to come through, and they're hoping that Op gets a chance to take someone down. Unfortunately, it's Movistar Koi to draw first blood.
Soulcas, it's a
30 seconds left.
mixed bag. Only got himself a Spectre. Nats is looking for the entry on his own. He's just going to go swinging up. Still managing to just hold. This is a peculiar way to see the battle. And what Soulcas actually does incredibly well with that Spectre. 2 kills to keep things even. Looking like the Armageddon about to come in to try and deny the players from planting with only 10 seconds on the clock. They need to get back onto that site, and it's going to take a little while to do so. Left all onto Filu, but he cannot land the shot. Kamek there to close. Liquid take the lead.
Great round. You can see that pretty much all the eyes on that defensive side were looking the wrong way. Nats opening up that space. It's an unusual lurk up with the operator in hand on the Cypher through a smoke, sticking around for more, almost getting a third too. Keep in mind, he does fire his gun there, just he was a little too quick. It wasn't fully scoped. Yeah, nice round from him, and that's all that needs to be said with Team Liquid taking it back 3-2 now. Course correction most certainly in play, as Movistar Koi will find themselves wanting when it comes to credits. They'll start this round. We've seen barriers go up, and there's not a single rifle in play. The pistols instead pushing up, and they have met their demise quickly on the B side.
Yeah, I think as well, with Liquid obviously choosing this map, but more importantly with just flashbacks to how Nats used to play on that defensive side. Right, he's given them an off on this side. That's not gone great. But it does mean that they'll be able to play a lot of gamble aggressive plays because of how good he is at locking down a site. That's something that I do think Movistar Koi are going to have to have thought about in their process of preparing for this game. Kamek is looking to clear up a few eco frags. Already almost got his res back online. Of course, I believe that was one of the changes with Sage, is having, I think it's only now 7 to get the res, and also being able to heal yourself a little bit more, which is nice. Bringing that agent at least into a slightly more interesting position than it was. But I felt like the way it was always played on this map was just, there's too many angles on certain spots when you walk in. Just wall some of them off, and give yourself a chance to plant, and then play the post.
Oh, that's unlucky. A missed shot, 1 bullet left in the magazine, no time, players everywhere. And no escape for Filu. That off will be dropped and maintained by Team Liquid as they carry it forward, a little bolster to their economy. And well, what could have been dangerous? You know, if that player gets a couple more picks with the op, your economy's really going to run low. Maybe they save an operator, it's even worse, but at least managed to level the playing field somewhat, forcing the reinvestment at the defensive side. Big round coming up, Tom.
Yeah.
A lot of ultimates online for both teams.
Yeah, I think this composition coming out from Movistar KOI is very interesting because it's clear that having an initiator that doesn't have flashes, they have tried to pad that not only with their duelist but also bringing in the Vice. But I think at times, well, it's going to be difficult. Nats is just destroying with that operator. A lurking op is something that I feel like we've seen a lot more of the last couple of days than I'm used to. Think about Sociable yesterday, just roaming the map, but he's been finding constant impact with it, and now can almost just look to switch back to the rest of the team. This time, though, some good positioning from the remaining defenders.
Thorns are alive.
Although Soulcas is the only one really trying to delay. The rest are just trying to clear that south side to see if there's anyone else there.
Well, the Thorns keep them for a moment. Spike has dropped in front of the wall, but it will go back towards the side. I was wondering if maybe there was a play towards the spawn about to take place instead. A nice safe plant. Orbital strike on both squads, but more effective here for Kiko in the post plant, but they need a main control. That might not be so easy. The door just opened. I'm not sure. I don't think that was intentional. Orbital strike goes down. They're forced into the open, forced into the fight, and Grabinho claims both scalps. It's Patatek and Kamek on site, a res available, but where will they find the body to do so? Instead, they must stand their ground, their guns drawn, but round from Movistar KOI. Big one from Grabinho. With plenty of time left for that defuse, 4-3 is locked in.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried for a second because we saw the steel garden go through onto the site to just try and remove weaponry, and I think it was when 3 players had just pushed A main. So I think only connected onto one, which was a little bit cursed, but ultimately just having them locked into the site with all of those ults pushing them forward, it made it impossible. There was not really any position that was safe for the Liquid players to stand in. That is one of those rounds, though, where it's like you have committed an awful lot into clearing out those back positions, and of course, for Liquid, financially, they're still good. They'll invest into this one, have a couple of ults of their own. There's still potential for them to break back almost immediately.
Yeah, ultis for both squads. Economy there to buy, but starting to wane. The losses adding up for both sides. Nats, Orbital strike thrown down in heaven early on. No one there to follow up on the back of it. Gecko's ult used, and it's Shados coming out of that situation with the dub, forcing another res, ult rather. The res coming in as Nats goes up to trade up.
We can't have that.
5 versus 4 as a result. And look, great damage has been done. Movistar KOI at least in with a chance in most of these 1v1 fights. But it's Team Liquid, the ability to go back if they want to, but still running heavy into these forces and taking losses, but trading it out.
Gravino's found a gap. Flyer also having his ult, but they will be able to survive at the back of it. Kamek also hoping that maybe they make a move a little bit too early. Filu, though, has taken the space instead, taking the initiative. Goes in front of the ult and catches them before they can make any sort of move. Movistar KOI are going to equalize the scoreline. Well, now things will be a little bit tumultuous for Liquid in the next round.
Yeah, being kept close in the early game. The orbital strike early to keep Shados around really backfired for him picking up that kill, but response afterwards pretty decent. Full blinded, still hits that shot. Not bad at all. Filu reclaiming the space on the Yoru, the ultimate put to good use alongside the Shorty. He's making use of the cheaper weapons. We've got a timeout called, and it's by Team Liquid. Having lost those last 2 rounds, they want to get back to winning ways. Hasn't been a problem when it comes to getting onto the site, getting the plant, but it's been Movistar KOI's ability to fight their way back into those rounds that's starting to weigh heavy on their conscience.
But yeah, I think as well, it's just what was committed, as you said. Like, you use a res, an orbital strike,
Huge
and of course Thrash, and ultimately a lot of that came down to, okay, Shados does well originally, just spamming through smokes. I think the utility holding them into the site has now caused them issues a couple of times, and I do wonder if it'll just come back to the point of them going back towards the B site, because I think their B site take looked a lot cleaner. Like they were getting through without too many casualties. They were getting into post plants. I think the entries that were out from Nats as well were fantastic. Whereas some of the early control, I think they end up quite a bit segmented off some of the initial utility being used by Guided Salvo, and of course the Teo. The problem I'm having at the moment though is like, I do feel like the Teo's synergy hasn't really been there. Like most of it has just been Shados going, you can't have this position. It's not being used to get a kill. It's just, okay, we're going to deny ground and set you up, rather than actually like, okay, let's try and activate this agent properly.
Yeah, I mean, the identity of it, I suppose, on Movistar KOI so far, yeah, has just been for space taking, has been locking down map control. Filu doing much the same, but with an operator, will dodge the flash and land onto Camo. Beautiful opening pick from Movistar KOI. And it's Team Liquid. Lots of weaknesses in this round. Looking to make it work with the same walk through the smoke. This time, wouldn't quite say Gravino was ready, but he reacted in time.
Trying to put the pressure on, but again, we see this more passive hold coming through from the defensive side. Happy to wait out a lot of the utility, hoping they can get ready for those post plants. For now, at least, still a little bit of delay, but a lot of that utility does lie in the hands of Patatek. For the post plant, he's going to have to do almost everything.
Shots need to be hit, that's for sure. And, well, one lands, but it's on to Kiko. Team Liquid's numbers thin out further and further. Kamek not landing the shots in Patatek with an ace and a Sheriff in hand. They've even seen him pick up the gun, I believe. They'll have a good idea of exactly where he is. 42 HP, at least manages to drop one, but that spike too far gone, already diffused. They'll manage to retrieve the big gun before the round is over. Movistar KOI back in the lead, 5-4.
Yeah, this is the round though where you'll actually see those rifles come into play. But I like that we're seeing still the confidence coming up for Velo, because again, like you look down in the tier 2 where he was playing previously, and like he was definitely someone that looked decent. But I do feel like if you're going to make that step up to tier 1, if you're going to be someone who is a threat to some of the big teams, I really want to see some standout performances here. And I'll be honest, thus far, Camo not playing Duelist hasn't looked the best. It's been a struggle. I also do think he's been wrecked through smoke more times than anybody else, so fair. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Caught in a res or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not being in the combat that he was sent home with. Filu not going to get his opportunity to take that free pick that it seemed like he was going to get, and that's ever wise. Oh, to the space that's in play. Gravino, he's trying to escape, and he takes one with him. That's okay. Shados using the cover of the ult to pick off Kamek, who had dropped his teammate just a moment ago. That is the advantage for Movistar KOI. Armageddon still online for Shados as well. For Team Liquid, they are going to be scrambling to find a resolution and a way into the site. So far, post plans are where they found some trouble. This time, even getting in should be an issue.
Yeah, well, their A-main / sand takes have been a failure every single time. They've walked into Shados, and at worst, he's found a trade, but in most cases, he's come out advantageous. Again, they have to walk through what is a Killjoy Vice setup just to try and get onto the site. No. They've already been isolated. Luckily for them, Nats is fairly used to playing alone. We'll see if he can do any damage here, while the others just wait for the IGL to take control. He's got nothing. His ex-teammate putting him in the dirt, and now the others are just almost having to wait. The spike on the deck, it is clean from Movistar KOI. Only one of the first kills going in the opposite direction. From then on, it's one-way traffic.
Absolutely, 4 rounds in a row now. Even pauses from Team Liquid not that long ago, and look how it starts. Once again, you know, Gravino was caught with his ult in hand, stood out wide, and somehow that situation ends up in a 2-for-1 trade from Movistar KOI, setting themselves up for victory, and that was the only loss I think they even had in the round. For Team Liquid, back to the drawing board again, but they don't have a whole lot of ink. Those credits running low once more. 2 pistols will be brought through alongside 2 Guardians. Weaknesses galore. Maybe this is the round they'll make it work, and Movistar KOI, despite the weaknesses their opponent have gone aggressive on B main. 3 players already pushed up into their spawn. That north side taking the wall! It worked against them! It drew their crosshair up just a smidge, but it was enough. Oh, a disastrous round for Team Liquid. For Movistar KOI, just another day in the office.
I want to say as well, like watching Soulcas and where he's placing those razor vines has just been really annoying. Like every single time it's like, okay, well, things haven't been working, let's go for a pacier here. He just pops it, and they're just sat there like, well, I can run through it, but every like step I take, I'm taking 10 damage, and I'm being slowed, and there's someone on the other side. It's just not worth it. So then they go back, and that's where they've been crunched. And he did that on both sides, just putting them in awkward positions, using the wall as well as a basically just a warning system. It's nothing else. Okay, the wall's gone up. Now they're in the vines. Now they can't move. If they do, they take damage.
Big push again, same play coming out of Movistar Koi. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Going straight for the B main aggression, dropping the spike already. Sure, one more player's caught, but the trade is so quick. And Movistar Koi now set their defense up on just north side. All they have to do is hold the spawn. And they're in a strong position. Ultimate used by Philo as well, just to connect the dots on where these players are, and that's both of them spotted. All the info for both teams granted. With the numbers in play for Movistar Koi, the ult online for Soulcas. Patatek puts out the Rolling Thunder to no effect. Far back just waiting is the firing squad, but they've been dealt the damage.
And I think they know roughly where Philo was after the ultimate, so he's going to be on the wrong side of the map to try and fight this one. Been looking pretty decent so far in terms of his debut within the VCT, but on the other side are two day one veterans. Well, in terms of
Spike planted.
the utility available, it's only really in Patatek's hands. Everything else is offline.
Patatek saw that gate crash was a fake as well. So they still don't have the information on where Philo is, but they won't be confused after hearing that step. There it is. 1 HP in the open and easily taken down by Nats from the other side. 7-5. Yeah, considering how this one looked like it was going to end, I think Team Liquid can be happy that this didn't spiral further out of control.
Yeah, for sure. I think it will need to be a better setup from them in the end, but we'll see what happens after the break.
Yes, darling.
Left you. Team Liquid just on 5 rounds. Now looking to equalize that. With a pistol round and the follow-up, we could be neck and neck, and they can forget the difficulties of the last. The follow-up is the key thing, because, yeah, that was certainly a difficulty in round number 2 of this map.
Yeah, losing it to basically just classics is definitely not an ideal way to start. And I think as well that 5-round streak was where it kind of got scary. We saw just that individual skill from some of the players, but also I do look at that half and say, okay, I think the synergy from Movistar Koi was a lot better. And I think when you are playing on that defensive side, it can be more difficult, if anything, rather than just running in together on the attack. We'll see if things are going to change. Of course, I already talked about the fact that I have a lot of faith as Nats as a site anchor on this defense. There's a lot of, I guess, unique things to bring in from this comp that might make that a little bit more difficult.
Well, a bit of a stampede being heard towards that B site. The wall has sent them the other way, and into the trap they go. Flya able to destroy it, but he will not escape with his life. The slow orb in play, keeping him there long enough for Nats to spam back alongside Kamek. The B site has been held, but now the A site has a bit of a challenge brewing. Movistar Koi fully setting their sights on it, and the question is, does Patatek swing for this? Is he looking for the fight, or simply spotting the information and waiting for the rest of the team to rotate in? A couple of small, sneaky spots by Movistar Koi already, representing a couple of kills with Philo up top. The first domino fell, and the rest have toppled right after. Nats, the last man standing, 1v3 now after his pick. Will be an ace in the pistol round. A hell of a course correction.
The only thing is that the spike currently hasn't crossed, but I don't know if he's going to catch it. It will all come down to timing. I'm kind of hopeful that Grabinho will swing alongside this, so they'll all look to do it together. Instead, they're going to send out the flash, which will allow the cross. That was the only goal. But each player now tagged, including Nats himself, but you feel like he's the dangerous one in this scenario. 4 bullets left for him to try and find this clutch, otherwise he's going to have to reload midway through, and he's going to get one on the cross. A nice attempt, but it isn't going to be enough. A Movistar Koi pistol. This could be a real great start for them, kicking off this second half.
One way to boost morale, if you manage to find that 3-piece, the ace, with just 4 bullets left in the magazine, yeah, all right. Your team's going to be pumped up. Unfortunately now, after winning the opening pistol round of the game, then going 2-1 down, they've lost the pistol in the second half. This is a huge injection of rounds for Movistar Koi, and it makes this an uphill battle for Team Liquid before they even get to the bye rounds. We'll see if maybe they can upset Movistar Koi in the same manner as we saw last half. It was just classics that their opponents had. This time Team Liquid, they come in with some sheriffs. There's a chance, but ultimately we're just expecting a handful of kills at best for this defensive side. All stock is in the next round.
Not only isolated in his current position, but also on the side of the map. A nice start onto Shados. Again, some gambit on gambit violence, but it is going to be a completely open B site and a retake that would, well, be one of the most impressive we've ever seen, up against 4 rifles. The only thing they really have is if they can group up and catch someone off guard, maybe retrieve whatever was left on the floor. I don't know if it was a gun or just, yeah, there you go, at least a bulldog, and that's now back on the floor again. Maybe a third time's the charm.
I like that as well, dropping the molly in. You know, most of the opponents are going to be rotating now, so this buys them some time to look in other directions. See if there's a few more angles of approach, and indeed there are. Soulcas pops the flash, doesn't catch them down below, and with the rifle only finds the one. Some chances for Team Liquid if this does start to slip away, a kill or two. Although I see Kiko didn't even manage to retrieve that rifle. He'll have to do it with the pistol, making it a little bit more difficult. Not only that, but an Outlaw holding down his angle, time ticking away. He has to go, has to run it in, and some incredible headshots to be delivered. Or this round is indeed falling to Movistar Koi. Still, set a handful of kills. They walk out with 3. I think they can be pretty happy with that.
But that's the thing, yeah. The fact that that was, I think, everybody buying a gun. That wasn't just like, oh, we've got a few pistols here and there.
Yeah.
There were rifles on every single player. So dropping 3 is pretty good, and it will also mean that for Movistar Koi, there is going to be damage. Like, if they invest into this round, it will leave them with a gap for the next. And if they don't, well, they're just going to be coming through with 2 guns for this round. So it's not a good scenario for them. Not a lot of light shields either. I think the Outlaw obviously being spotted in the last one, it makes it a bit foolish to go for light shields in this scenario when you know that there's going to be vulnerabilities. But this is where we kind of need to see something from Liquid. This is their map choice. The first half was not particularly good. Camo really struggling, and you put him on an initiator instead of a duelist, and that really hasn't proven itself valuable thus far. Is it because they have everything planned and prepped for the defense?
One has to hope, at least if one is a Team Liquid fan.
There's a few of those.
1 or 2. Mixed bag from Movistar Koi. Lots of pistols in play. Not a round they should stand a real chance of taking across the line, but we saw them do it with just classics before. let's not doubt them anytime soon. Guided salvo being set up by Shados, and away they go, blocking the main avenues you're going to be contesting from. Patatek was already ahead of it down below. Camo ready for one, but that's all that there is to be found. A close shot by Patty, but it flies past ahead nonetheless. Still the advantage, the spike now on the floor, and Movistar Koi need to find a pick elsewhere. Fly up, this is not going to be an easy fight. Having to open the doors himself, step in, and quickly adjust to where this player is. He's seen two. And Patatek's the first to fall, a clean headshot delivered. Numbers equalized, but the fight doesn't go so well on the other side.
Yeah, unfortunately the other two just don't have the weaponry. Fly's doing more damage, but the time's really against him. 15 seconds at this stage. He has to go. Rifle retrieved as he will sprint onto the remaining couple of players, looking for those fights, but in the corner, Kamek is waiting. It will be Liquid to take the round again. Only a couple of guns there for Movistar Koi, so it's not bad in terms of damage, but that was, I would say, an integral round for Liquid if they were going to make this comeback possible.
Well, considering how little Movistar Koi brought into it, yeah, if anything, it's a little concerning it ends up being this close.
Yeah.
Just a split second of difference in that timing, and Kiko gets caught trying to round the corner. It's a 1v1, and that might inspire you to look for the fight instead of going for the spike. Could have been a different game. For Movistar Koi, they've still got plenty of chances to make that the case. Looking for double digits here as they put rifles on the board after the Eco. Very successful Eco that they had. Now for Team Liquid, you think about proactivity. This is where we started to see at this stage of the game, Movistar Koi throw out some of these B main pushes, the A main pushes, getting in their face early. I wonder if we have that in the tank for Team Liquid.
That's the thing, there's a lot of ultimates, a lot of high impact ones that are very close to being online. Filu has managed to find his at least, picking up one of the orbs around the map, and that's the thing. He's going to be able to clear a lot of the setup. That's the biggest thing when you're up against Nats. If you can find his utility, you at least make him human. The rest of the team, well, you're seeing those lurks across either side. Fly has been caught. Hopefully not the start that Movistar were looking for. And now Filu is going to go looking to try and find out the setup. But you can see, for Liquid at this stage, you don't really need to hold on to the site. You have the man advantage already. They also have the spike, don't they? Drop down underneath.
It could be retrievable. I thought Filu might try to run down there with the ult and grab it back. Instead, they're going to have to just go swinging. Look to take Nats down. It's a decoy, and he's realized it. Now looking for the real fight. Guided salvo doesn't put him out into the open, but he swings in alongside Kamek, and both lose their head. 15 seconds, though. There is no time to dawdle. They have to run straight into this side. Kiko already ahead of them. 10 seconds on the clock. That spike needs to be planted here and now. Thrash already underway, and that buys Kiko a little bit of time to take them down. 9-7, Team Liquid denying double digits for now.
I guess that's the value of moving one of your duelists to your controller players. They can still hit some pretty tasty headshots when put under pressure. But yeah, that was the thing. Even this peak towards the end, you kind of go, okay, once the spike's down, you don't really need to pressure it. But it got so late on time. I saw the Thrash online. I was like, okay, there shouldn't be any way that you get out of this scenario with a win for Movistar. Nonetheless, the difference now down to just 2. The Spanish organization are going to take themselves a moment because they have looked good throughout this series so far. Again, like coming into this sort of tournament, I think many, including myself, had Koya quite far down in their list of teams, mainly because of the unknowns. How will Flyer feel with in-game leading at not only the tier 1, but in another region altogether? I had a lot of the time having to deal with cultures he's maybe never come across before, like those different CIS players, the Polish players as well. It's definitely an interesting dynamic. Filu coming up to the tier 1. Shados, can he bring back that old school initiator? Because when he was playing it on teams like Gambit, he was one of the best in the world. But he hasn't been doing that for a while, and he was pretty good at the Sentinel, but having someone that has that as a set role frees him up a little bit. And I feel like, at least from Grabinho and Soulcas, you know what you're getting, but was that enough to elevate this team to a victory here? Because the players they're up against, like Nats, is legendary. Camo had a pretty good season, individually, considering how Koi went. We know what we're getting from Kiko, and then obviously Patatek, Kamek, 2 players that as stand-ins have done very well.
Well, Team Liquid 2 rounds trailing. Nats' IGLing seems to be working for them. Kiko certainly is. Camo steps up. Patty's here to play. And a complete denial of this low-buy round from Movistar Koi. We've seen pistols in this series, and the one yesterday deal quite a bit of damage. Always dropping rifles, but this time, one of the cleanest faces from Team Liquid. And a great sign as they're on the path to recovery, now just one round behind their opponents.
That's the thing with this composition. You have so much information and so much delay. Like that's what you get with the Sage nowadays, is using those slows to make a lot of these fights more awkward, the wall to section things off. You have, again, the Cypher utility on Nats. You've got the stuns, the flashes. There is a lot that they can use to try and slow things down for the side of Movistar Koi. They've also been doing well at taking space, being able to section off parts of the map. And look at them again. They're already full sprint towards that north side, and I think Flyers realized that he's going back the other way.
Yeah. Team Liquid take north, Movistar Koi take south. It's going to be a fair trade, at least to start this off.
But they can funnel them in. That's what I'm saying about this Sage wall. Just, it makes things so awkward for them on the take that by the time they actually go to move, the entirety of Liquid is here and ready. Even still, though, Grabinho gets the opener.
Yeah, Armageddon was used to clear sight, but off-site placement from Team Liquid gives them a ton of value for that, avoiding the ultimate early on, able to fire from the side as they walk in, but Movistar Koi still come ahead in those duels, trading out even as it goes deeper with Filu on another, looking to finish the round there, and then it is Patatek all alone, up against 3 with the spike planted, with a lockdown in play for Flya with no information and no chance. Double digits denied for a while, but finally found for Movistar Koi on their opponent's map pick.
God, it's a really nice round from Philo again. I like the fact that, again, if your opponent's putting down utility like the wall, you can play around it, use it to your own advantage, and that's exactly what he does, just fighting on pixel angles. And you can see a player here and there just sort of stuck in no man's land across the site. And I do wonder if, for Liquid's sake, like after the wall goes down, if you can get yourself back into more passive positions. You've delayed them, but you've left yourself open. And that became more of a problem, because as I said, the rest of the team were pretty much there. It was just that Kamek was a little bit out of spot after putting down the wall that he gets isolated. And from then on, well, you have now basically lost the site.
Well, the difficulties we talked about earlier for Team Liquid now starting to rear their ugly head again. Another timeout called for this squad. This will be their last. And indeed, almost the last one we have to see. That's 3 out of 4 used so far. It's been a close matchup. That's shown in that the stress builds. Now we come into this round for Team Liquid, like I said, Movistar Koi on the defense, this stage of the game, a little bit before, they're pulling out a lot of early aggressive stances. They're seizing control and getting very much in their opponent's face, but I think we can understand why Team Liquid aren't having that same flair to their defense when you look at the composition in play.
To be fair, the last round they did like full sprint out top side. It was just that they weren't
there. That's true.
I think the thing is more so that Flyer is more than happy to just go nope and just run. Like he's like, okay, I think his calling has been very good in terms of his reactions, and I think for Nats it was more so I'm going to challenge them, and they would just lose those fights.
Yeah. Well, primed for an early fight is Camo. Flash goes out, and so does Filu. Out of the round. Down goes Shados. It's been a big push from both sides. Yeah. Team Liquid, well, he said this. They tried it last round. It didn't quite work out. This time they run into a lot of bodies. Res is there available for them to use on the Nats as well. This comp working out well in that regard. Wall blocking off another avenue of approach, and the spike is down. They've got it, and they're just defending it, sitting as a group, a 5-man squad on north side. 2 angles that they can be approached from. An easy trap to jump over. Good luck with the wall.
Might just be able to wait it out. I feel like it's been there a little while at this stage. There's still plenty of time on the clock, but obviously the second it goes, a player will immediately be watching in that direction. I think the only way that this goes wrong for Liquid is if someone gets a little bit overzealous, or if they use the lockdown, but I would say that that's madness if they're going to try and put that into position. Surprisingly, there are players on the other side. Yeah, the guys are here. They are still here. That wall has now gone, but immediately you can see the Nats is already watching. Camo holding the angle as well. They're going to try and face off, in fact, against Soulcas. And now, Grabinho, oh, fair enough. He's just going to take himself an orb, maybe even opt to hold on to the rifle with how low he is already.
Sprint for the A main orb as well. Why not?
10 seconds left.
Get as much value as you can out of this round. And yeah, carrying forward the rifle as well, definitely the right decision. But like we say, you know, it took Team Liquid a little longer to take out these aggressive stances. We saw it, as you said, in the last round with one that didn't land because the players move in the other direction. But this time, when they try to hold their ground, when they try to take that fight, just completely overrun by their opposition. And the other thing is the fact that in this round, you're going to be more keen to even go faster and take those duels because you have that res online. Yeah. So you know, even if one goes down, we can trade you out quick. We can take that space. And the spike on the floor is beautiful.
I respect that they do it again. Like, they have faith in the strat to work, and then they go, okay, well, it didn't work last time. There's probably, there's two adaptations. Either it'll be exactly the same strat, which feels unlikely. Flyer's not just going to keep running the same thing. So, or they'll try and adapt knowing that we do it and wait. And they're just confident enough in taking those fights. And that's back on the sniper. I even saw him rock a chamber in the past, but he's been nasty with it so far. Getting out of there is not possible, though. So quick on the response from Filu. And unfortunately, this is what I'm talking about. When you have Nats on a site, a lot of the time that means there's no one else on that site.
Flyer. Here comes the cavalry. 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots!
Okay.
All I hear is gunshots. Beautiful. And his opponent's drop. Team Liquid not lasting long in that one whatsoever with an in-zone flawless blink, and you miss it. My goodness.
That might be some of my favorite BM I've ever seen. He's just thrown a nanoswarm on his body. Maybe that was to delay if there was anyone else, but I don't think so.
Just saying, looking back at that as well, the pick that came in onto Nats, I think so far we haven't seen him punished for the peculiar pickup of the operator on this agent because he's hit the first shot every time. Whereas we talk about a jet, a chamber, all these agents as being able to go, take your shot, and get out. He doesn't have that ability, and this time when he misses, it really highlights that. Now that's some nasty tech we're seeing pulled out right now. Been a while since a lot of these guys played Fractured.
And Sage.
Run up against that, you're going to be fuming.
Yeah, luckily, if you're a Movistar Koi fan, nobody is going in that direction. In fact, they're just going to run it down over on the B site. Just looking to try and take as much control as possible, clear as much information as possible, and they have found that, again, there is nobody on the site. Rolling Thunder is available, though, the perfect retake utility, but I want to keep an eye on where Soulcas stands, because he can take away all of their guns as they attempt to retake.
Well, this is where the fun stops for Team Liquid. Already lost Nats in the way back through. Spike planted, ults online, orbital strike for post plant, steel garden put into effect early. Might even stop
no guns.
Them from needing that orbital strike. And Team Liquid, they look in the other direction. They say, let's get the hell out of here. Carrying 3 weapons at least, but look at Kiko. He's stuck. He's in a corner with no way out, and he will be dropped as he attempts to flee this site. This is not the round that you want to see your opponents going 12-9 on map point as a result of completely rolling. Grabinho, chance to drop even more of these weapons. There's not a lot to reinvest on Team Liquid. Luckily, though, they've been able to hold on to what they got out with.
Yeah, the thing is, you know when you have Soulcas on the server that if he's using utility, it's going to be to good effect, and that's about as good as you can ever hope for with that ultimate. He waits for the perfect moment, sees that they've used an ultimate of their own in the Thrash to try and clear out the backline, so okay, the second that ult ends, I'll use this and take away their guns. That's 8 seconds just bought off the clock
and
immediately.
You know they're pushing forward.
Because especially on those angles as well, what, you're going to go in with a classic? Of course not. It would be stupid to do so. So he just ends the round with a single ultimate, doesn't even need any casualties. A pacifist, if anything. Although he was still holding a rifle. 12-9. Movistar Koi have looked good on their opponent's map choice. Abyss up next will be to their name. Although, as we've seen so far, a lot of teams don't have a massive read on everyone else's map pool. So they might have chosen a great map for Liquid, they might not have done. We'll have to wait and see. We also have to see if they've got what it takes to close it, because even yesterday that was a struggle at times.
Yeah, listen, 3 rounds in a row. It's achievable for Team Liquid. They have to start this off well. Early gate crash used, Filu's caught, Flya, Grabinho, everybody's falling. A quick response from Team Liquid. That's exactly what we want to see, the resistance early on with just 2 more. It's a good start.
Seeing Padatek as well being very vocal in those moments. I feel like you've got the the IGL and then maybe the emotional leader. With how much he's talking, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Just trying to get the players pumped back up. We saw that all of last year with Heretics. I think that was something that he really brought to the team, was just being that vibes merchant. Something that I think Liquid desperately need in these sort of scenarios. Someone to pick them up while they're down. Nonetheless, that was a nice, clean round to take, and already early information being gathered up by the stealth drone.
But it doesn't see this. It doesn't know that Kamek's up top. He used his wall to get up there, but they suspected it. Fair play. That has given the man advantage to Movistar Koi and put a lot of pressure on someone like Nats, who sat deep on the site.
You might not check it when you're up against the Sage, but you're probably used to checking it from when you're up against the Jet. Flyer. It's going to be in a 1-for-1 trade, but that keeps the advantage with Movistar Koi for now. Ultimate's not online. Kiko definitely the closest, and in fact now he has managed to get that orbital strike. A chance to clear out the top side of the map, and that's exactly what he's done. Just making sure there's no one in the tower, but players had already moved.
That's it with Kiko going down. It's now essentially a triple crossfire. They can swing out together and take every single angle, and that's what they do. 36 HP on Filu, but he makes it work for the double. Now 13 to 10. Movistar Koi have stolen Liquid's map pick.
Yeah, we came into this one wondering who we should be excited for, wondering who's going to be coming out on top. Well, it's only map number 1, but for now, it's Movistar Koi. We'll be back after the break.
The bots! Sit the no, nice!
You're so bad, Ayas! Tatar, wake up!
Yo! I'm an IGL! How are you dying to me?
Red Bull gives you wings.